we installed technology upgrades, and we installed a complete control room. Also in 2013, we partnered with the Pierce Middle School, and we are now part of the Pierce Pass program. It's the Pierce After School Sessions program. And what that allows is for MPEG to give back to the schools, and we actually teach a class once a week for students. So it's after school, it's not taken for credit, it's an extracurricular activity, but it's a great way for the kids to become involved at a young age in our program. So we started that. We also began to work with Milton Hospital on their training videos. So I was contacted by the training nurse at Milton Hospital. They have seminars throughout the year, but because of the way the schedule works and the way hospitals work is that not all their staff could be present for those training sessions. So we go in and we film them for them, and we produce DVD copies so that the staff can then review them at the later date. And that's been very helpful and very well received at the hospital, and we continue those programs in 2014. Also in 2013 was the first year we began candidate advertising for townwide candidates in the election. And we grew this program from a print ad to a video ad. Again, it was very well received by the town candidates. It was a very minimal cost of $100 for a month before the town election, and it was a 1-minute, 60-second video ad that all candidates were welcome to participate in. Tom, you had asked about the programming, so we've listed here on page 2 some of the notable programs that we've produced here at Milton Access TV. We also have a number of shows that originate from Milton, and we also take a number of shows from outside of Milton. That's called our bicycle programming. So we are open to taking programming from other communities. It's just required that we have a resident from Milton that sponsors the program, sort of like the go-to answer person. Mm-hmm. So those are listed for your bicycle programming. We also listed some of the notable government programs that we did last year. One of which was a new one we started, which was a swearing-in ceremony with our town clerk, which has been very well received. We also have videotaped the animal shelter presentations. We videotape all of the candidate debates and candidate nights that occur. And a highlight of 2013 is our education programs, which we really took off on. And that was something that we had been lacking in content before, and we really focused on. I will note that we participated in the first annual Iron Chef competition at the high school, which is where we actually filmed the local chefs making food, and we had a presentation, and we were able to use 2 remote screens and have the parents in the cafeteria watch. That was one of the most requested programs that we had. We also have been broadcasting live from the Pierce gym, so any presentations or speakers that they have from the gym that we were able to do. And we've also started a new program, You've Got to Have Art, which really focuses on art and science in the schools and anything that relates to those. So that's our programming. As we look ahead, we continue to strive to bring the highest quality of programming to the residents of our town. Not only the types of programs that we broadcast, but the quality of those programs. We would like to say that as of recently, we have received some issues and concerns about programming that we've had on our stations. It's specific to our Channel 8, which is our government program, and it's specific to the evening hours. So we would like to come out and say that we do have an issue with our Comcast Channel 8. It's not an issue on RCN. The issue is called pixelating, where the picture might cut in and out. It might jump back and forth. It might black out. It might come right back on. Audio may cut in, it may cut out. That's something that we're working on. It's been brought to my attention probably within the last month. The frustrating part is that we've really isolated it to the evening hour between about 8 p.m. and 10 a.m. And it's really isolated to 2 different parts of town, one being around the Milton Hospital and up Canton Avenue, and one being at what I call the crest of Adams Street, or where I live, right near the Forbes House going down into Lower Mills.
It's a Comcast issue, not an MPEG issue?
It appears to be that way. We are working with Comcast pretty regularly on the issue. For those techies out there, we have a ticket created that we revisit every day. Once the ticket's open, it cannot be closed until the issue is resolved. Mm-hmm. So I do have those conversations. Luckily in Milton, we do have a Comcast technician that lives in our town that I work with regularly. He did leave work early one day so that he could be clocked in the evening hour to watch the programming, and lo and behold, his programming was fine. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to pinpoint if it's a different type of box issue, if it's a signal issue, if it's a wire issue, if it's an issue on MPEG's end or Comcast end. Not to get too much into the schematics of the system, but all of our programming originates from Milton, it originates from my office at the Pierce School. It travels to a head end in Quincy and then returns back into Milton. So there's a lot of factors that we are trying to work out and figure out exactly where the issue is. I would like to say, and I've told residents that have called, they're more than welcome to call my office, and we would like to hear those issues and would like to specifically know, what time, what channel, and where you're located in the town. You don't have to give your specific address, we'd prefer it, but if you could at least give us, a main road. And we can also, I'm encouraging residents to call Comcast. I'll give you the number, it's 1-800-934-6489. And that's just because there could be something where it could be an issue with the box in your house. When residents call in, I have them check the cross channel, which is you channel up and channel down to see if there's other issues, if it was occurring on a news station or another area of programming. It seems to really be only occurring on channel 8. The good news is not occurring on channel 11 and 22. So we think it's a specific issue for that. We're looking into seeing if Comcast can maybe replace some of the equipment for channel 8. We've replaced the equipment on our end, all of the broadcast part of it, specifically a modulator. That's what transmits the signal from Milton to Quincy. And that's what we're working on. So we're asking residents just to please be patient with us. We've heard their concerns and we are trying to address them. We do, in light of those concerns and comments, we have started a trial where we're putting some of the meetings on our websites for people to view at home. So if they couldn't catch it on cable, and if it was pixelating, they can be rest assured to go on to our website, miltonaccesstv.org. There's a video on demand section, and we have the most Board of Selectmen, School Committee, and Board of Appeals, what we film. We have those meetings online from when the issue started going forward. So.
Can I ask a question, Mike? And maybe the technology isn't there yet, but I mean, streaming is becoming the big thing in video now, obviously. And how far will MPEG ever be able to offer streaming video?
We're looking into it. We are next year budgeted to purchase a server, and what the server will allow us to do is we will be able to replay all of our programs on our website. Something with the live streaming we are looking into. The technology isn't just there yet, but we are looking into if we could live stream at least some of the meetings. Mm-hmm. Part of our concern is that the way our funding works is that the town receives a percentage of the revenue that Comcast makes in the town of Milton via cable subscribers. So one fear among all of the local access centers in Massachusetts is that if you begin to offer the video on-demand service, or if you offer it streaming, that residents could theoretically drop their cable bill to nothing and our funding could decrease. Mm-hmm. We don't really feel that that's really going to happen. You'd have to drop your entire cable bill to save the money. Right. Even if you drop to the most basic service, you still receive our channel on right. our local channels. So it is something we're looking into. The technology is sort of there, but it's we wanted to establish ourselves on the cable part of it, and now we're looking forward to the internet part and being able to stream our programming.
Okay.
But we already, I'd encourage you all to check it out tonight, and the residents at home to go to our website. Again, it's miltonaccesstv.org, and just the 3 meetings I mentioned are there, but this meeting that we're having tonight should be on our website by tomorrow.
And it is good to see that most of the programming here is local. I mean, the bicycle program compared to the amount of local programming is right. pretty small.
Yeah, and we're always open to outside programming. We do require that they get the sponsor, and they do work with me and the sponsor to figure out if that programming is the correct fit for Milton. Mm-hmm. And most of the programs listed here, we have had requests from residents that we just do not offer. Specifically under bicycle programming, Seniors on the Move is a senior program that talks about working out, doing yoga, keeping your mind at ease, and we had a demand for that. We just didn't have any producers that were able to do that. So that's how we really go about obtaining our bicycle programming, is from what we've offered to the town, what can we offer more?
So you actually go out and do outreach to
Correct.
to look for a particular type of programming?
Yes. We belong to a local an organization in Massachusetts called Mass Access. It's the sort of like the fraternity of all the local access centers. And there are a lot of online resources that we can go and download programs. And we're actually in the process of taking our Milton programs and putting them on that server so that other towns can now download the Milton programming. So, but a majority of our program is local origination.
Now, one of the complaints I've heard recently, and it seems to me that years ago, the football games at least were broadcast. Now, apparently, none of the sporting events now are broadcast on, or is that not true?
Currently, they're not.
Okay.
We are working with the high school. They just this year hired a new athletic director who seems very open to the idea. I've been in communication with him. Unfortunately, I will say in 2013 we were a little late for the football games. We wish that we could have got them all in September, but we do have an interest for it. Like I said, we have been meeting with the athletic director. In years past, we filmed the boys basketball team. I forget which year, but they actually played at the Garden and the DCU Center. Any of the larger sport competitions, we do have some requirements with the name escapes me. It's the organization that controls all of the sporting events. I'm sorry, the MIAA. They actually have very specific broadcast restrictions and guidelines that we have to follow.
Okay.
That's on the MIAA level, but for the high school level, we believe that starting this year, we're actually going to be filming some of the games. We've got the crew ready for it. We've gone out and purchased the remote equipment. It was just really a matter of coordinating with the high school.
Mm-hmm. Now, is the field house set up to, does the field house have a broadcast booth that you can broadcast?
We do, because we broadcast the high school graduation from the field box.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, from the field house.
Mm-hmm.
From the field box at Brooksfield, we can certainly broadcast as well.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
The last part of the notable events, actions, and program is our training classes that we offer. We do offer a once-a-month orientation class. It's usually the first Monday of every month, and you can find that on our website and our Facebook page. The way our training program works is that we invite members of the public in. They take a brief 1-hour orientation overview of our facility and our programs. It's from there that they sit down with me as the director, and we sort of critique and custom make their training program. And training, the good thing about MPEG is that training usually occurs on a one-to-one basis. We found that classes are great, but people are sometimes shy and might not learn enough and might not get the best experience. So all of our training programs are offered on a one-to-one basis, and we schedule those whenever it's convenient for the person interested in the training. So we listed here, per our contract, the training classes and then the attendance of who was able to take classes last year. The next part of the report is just our policies and procedures. They were updated in 2011, and you have a copy here. Gives definitions of some of the terminology that I use, our basic rules and guidelines. Nothing's really changed from 2011. The next part of my report is our business plan. We included the business plan from 2008 when we first started, and the cover sheet explains that we're updating our business plan. I met with the board we met yesterday, and we talked about the firm that we're going to be using, and we're reaching out to have them come in to speak with us. So we're looking to update our business plan.
So the plan that you gave us, Mike, did you say 2008 or is it 2006? It's supposed to be, I guess, in the form of the 2006 business plan, but it had a date of 2014 on it. I was wondering whether that was just Because it was printed off the computer,
Oh,
and
I'm
that
sorry,
data
so
automatically
yeah,
showed up.
it was printed on September 30th, but
Okay.
it's the same
It's
business
the-
plan that was
It looks like it
submitted.
was from
Yeah.
2006 or 7,
Yeah.
okay.
So that is our business plan, and the last section are.
So how soon do you think you'll be able to submit the new business plan?
We,
A couple of months, or a couple of weeks, or?
we have a board meeting next month, so I'd probably say within a month or two, we'd update it. And our last section are our meeting minutes and treasurer's reports from the year 2013. And we are missing May, and again, I apologize, the May meeting minutes were passed around at the beginning. But that would complete the minutes for 2013. We typically meet every month. I know that 2013, there are only 6 meetings. I can just chalk that up to, in 2012, we had our studio build-out, and those were monthly, weekly, and sometimes 2 meetings a week. So I think the board, we just took a little break in 2013. But in 2014, we've gotten right back onto our monthly meeting schedule.
So are you going to send us the 2014 minutes? We haven't seen those yet.
So the 2014 minutes, those would be included in the 2014 annual report, but I will certainly forward those up to the town tomorrow. Of all
I
the-
think, because we were checking the MPIC contract earlier, I think it requires that they be submitted to us monthly, doesn't it? It's not a big deal, but, you know, we probably should, in order to comply with the contract, send them monthly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on page 4 of the existing contract, which I know is up for renewal.
Yeah, we can forward those. I will apologize, it was under our previous administration that we just did it every, yearly, but I can certainly bring those up to you.
Okay.
That completes the reporting part of it. I can answer any questions for you. We also have a brief 2-minute video if the board would like to see just some sample clips of the programming that we have on our station.
You're going to show that now?
Yeah, we can.
Mike, before you show, I don't want to hand Becky to the door.
Oh.
School committee.
And Becky DePadera is also here, and she's our school committee appointee.
And Dennis Cohane is your rep, just in case you didn't mention.
And,
Both great.
anyway, it's just on your desktop. It's MATV clip.
An update? MATV
Yeah.
update?
Yep.
Any commercials?
No. So I apologize, it looks like the projector may have just restarted or it's not working, no.
Michael, wait for that. I did notice, there is a reasonable amount of cash on the balance sheet, and I'm sure you have some capital programs that you're looking at down the road. Could you go over what some of the plans are for
Sure.
some of the capital improvements?
So in 2015, we were planning on putting a studio up at the high school. We're going to mimic the setup that we have at Pierce.
Okay.
So that'll be a pretty big capital expense for us in 2015. We're looking at, in 2016, to build out the Council on Aging. That'll be about $40,000. That'll mimic what we have here. So we might push that project forward because the council is used pretty frequently. In 2017, the selectmen are getting an upgrade. So this room, the install was in 2009. So the technology and the equipment is a little out of date. So we will be looking to upgrade your setup. And then in 2018, we will have to revisit the Pierce studio and upgrade those as well. In the back of our minds, we are looking at a production vehicle of some sort. We have one now. It's not a camera-ready or equipment-ready vehicle, but we will be looking to do some type of production van.
Would you actually be able to live broadcast from, or?
Right,
Okay.
which will make those football games a lot easier. So, we're also, yeah, I mean, we're looking, there are several different places in town that we can originate a live broadcast from. They are listed in our contract as about 12 of them. So with the production van, we'll be able to, we can broadcast from East Walton Square, any of the libraries, the police station, so we're looking forward to doing
3
that.
fire stations.
Good.
No luck?
No, I can't get
Okay.
it to
Okay.
connect. Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. It'll be on our website in the morning that people can look at it.
Not a good time to have a technical
No,
difficulty.
not a
It's
good
really
time.
nice.
Okay, did you want to just, are there any other questions for Mike?
I don't have any others, no.
Fine.
Did you want to discuss, Mike, your request for an extension of the contract?
Yes, so we are here, our contract was signed October 16, 2008 for 6 years, and at the end of the 6-year contract, we can apply for a 4-year extension. So I'm here tonight, we presented our 2013 report, so we are here to request a 4-year extension on our contract,
2018.
2018.
In talking with the town administrator today, she reached out to Mike at my request because this contract's been in effect for 6 years, and this is really the first time we're having a discussion about, I don't think there was a presentation last year, probably for good reasons. But where it's up for renewal, it seemed to me that this might be a good time to get public input, to give people who might have ideas for programming, issues with technical difficulties, whatever comments that they might have, to give people a chance to comment on the local programming, the quality, the services, the programming. And so my suggestion to the town administrator and to the board tonight is that we consider a short-term extension. We'd have to amend this. The language does seem to provide just for one extension for one period up to an additional 4 years. So what I think it would entail is amending this contract to, if it's agreeable to MPEG, to maybe extending it for 60 days, giving us a chance to get some public input. And there may not be much, but at least there would be an opportunity for people to have public input. And then putting this on for an agenda in a 30 to, I would suggest 60 days. We could do it for a shorter period of time. But put this on a future agenda so that we can then discuss the longer-term extension at that time. It just creates an opportunity for the public to let us know if they have any issues or concerns or suggestions. So I would put that out to the board. We did talk with town council about it, and it would require an amendment to the contract, which we could vote it tonight. It could be drafted afterwards if that's agreeable to MPEG. And I know that Anne Marie reached out to Mike earlier today to discuss that possibility. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk with your board about it, Mike, or what your position is on it.
Yeah, I've spoken with a few of them. Don't really have a position on it. I just heard about it today. But I do understand the public comment piece of it. My concern was that, our contract would be up next week, but if there isn't an extension amendment for it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's not that we have any issues with MPEG, and it's just we would like to get some public feedback, and I think it'll be good for the board and for for MPEG, it's to just hear from the public, or at least have an opportunity.
It provides a chance. I mean, obviously, anyone can call you up, and some people have called you with technical
Right.
difficulties, but it gives a more formal channel to submit comments. And we're going through this now. We already had the RCN ascertainment hearing tonight, where that contract's not up for a year. What probably should have happened here, Mike, is we probably should have put this on a couple of months ago and just notified people the MPEG contract's coming up for renewal in mid-October. Let's have, anyone would like to submit comments, just do it in August or September. And I know we had a meeting previously scheduled for September that we had to cancel and postpone until tonight. So it gives us a very short period of time until the contract renews. It's just a suggestion we're going to have to go through this with Comcast too, a year or two from now, when
Yes.
Comcast, and like RCN, there'll be a public comment period in that. seemed like we probably should consider doing that for MPEG also.
That would have been my only comment and suggestion, is that if, I know that if, when we renew and then in 4 years when the contract goes out for RFP, that might be a part of the contract, is that, prior to the 6-year contract expiring, that we have a comment period beforehand, and we would have been in, 2 months before.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
right, probably should have, but
Yeah.
it's been a hectic year for, I think, all of us.
I would say, I would think the opposite. Given the workload that this board has, and you've already mentioned, Tom, that there's really no issue with MPEG, I'd suggest we just go ahead and approve it tonight, not to be wasting time and giving us more of a workload. What comments do we expect to hear from the public that Mike hasn't heard already? Or, the programming is set. If they want more programming, they can just email him directly and put it on if he's capable. But I would suggest that we don't delay any further. We're delaying too many projects, and we're just creating more meetings. I'd suggest that we just move forward with it tonight. It's a simple contract for 4 years. He's already been there for 6. He's proven that he's successful at it, so why delay it for 30 or 60 days? It's just, there's no need to delay it, I believe. Just move it forward and keep this board moving forward. We have too many projects on the table.
I'm all for keeping the board moving forward. I think we have moved forward on a lot of projects recently, and I don't, Dennis, I don't want you to misinterpret. I'm not criticizing anything about MPEG or not saying we don't think that MPEG's work has been good, and certainly I think Mike has proven himself to be a good executive director at MPEG, and is here at all of our meetings and works pretty long hours and winds up lugging equipment back and forth to the COA. And, there have been some I've heard from a couple of customers about the service issue because it does affect the area that I live in, and sometimes I won't repeat it because Mike's already talked about the stopping and starting and some of the audio issues. But even though anyone could already call Mike at this stage and register a complaint, a lot of people do watch the program, so a lot of people are seeing this meeting tonight or will see it on the replay. And it might trigger a reason for someone to say, there is a channel that I can submit comments to. And in this case, I think it would be to the Board of Selectmen, kind of like we said for the RCN hearing, either the main number at the Selectmen's office, 898-4848, or written comments by email or by letter to any of us or to the town administrator. We can pass them along. There might actually be some good suggestions that come out of it. I only suggest it as a means of, soliciting public input and providing some greater transparency. It's hard when something winds up on an agenda like this, and the agenda gets posted on a Friday, and the meeting is tonight on a Tuesday. There's not a lot of people who see the agenda before a meeting. A lot of people will only know that this came up for renewal tonight. And we don't have a meeting now until the 21st. So unfortunately, we didn't have a meeting a couple months ago where we put the word out that this is coming up and we'd be happy to get input. But I view it as just soliciting greater input. I don't think it's going to delay us too much. I think we can...
Again, I respect your opinion, but I will respectfully disagree. I just think we're putting added expense on our town council when he's bogged down with other developments that we have more, that are more pressing. MPEG is not a big deal when it comes to renewing a contract. It's a contract. He's doing his job. It's running smoothly. I don't see any reason to delay. I say we just move it and get on to the next project. Like I said before, Katie, we're delaying too many things by seeking public input. I don't see what seeking public input is going to do to this contract. If input can be given to Mike directly, it's...
Well, we're the licensing authority.
No, I understand that, but this is not... I don't see 40 people here wanting to speak about MPEG. Nobody is here. Really, nobody cares.
Well, yeah, but that goes to my point that nobody probably realizes it's on the agenda. Some people will. There's a small percentage of people who see the agenda in advance, but a lot of people who are sitting home tonight watching this on TV are hearing that this contract's up for renewal and wouldn't have known about it before tonight. And if we were to vote on it tonight, we don't really give any public comment opportunity.
I know, but we're the elected body here. We're elected to make decisions for the people in this town. We don't need to seek input from everybody in town when we decide to take a vote. I say we just do it, and this is what we're elected to do, is to make decisions. I certainly don't want to hear from people around town about MPEG. We have 40 Bs and we have other pressing issues. This is a done deal, in my opinion. I mean, I'll go along with the board, but that's my opinion. It's just that we should move it and get on to the next thing.
Yeah, I guess I would personally like to get, if there is any input out there, I mean, it is a public service to the town. It's, so it's more than just a contract for the procurement of normal day-to-day services. I mean, it's, you know, it's a public utility, if you will. And I think we should have, you know, at least allow for a comment period. You know, and perhaps you're right. You know, we'll get no comments, and we'll just move on with our business. But I mean, I don't see it as bogging us down at all, personally.
I don't either. I think it just helps us make an informed decision. And I agree with you, Dennis. We're the elected board. It is up to us ultimately to make a decision. I just would like to give anyone who who would like to comment or make a suggestion to MPEG for different types of programming that they may not even have considered yet. That would be something that we could pass along, and it could help the quality and the content of programming for the next 4 years.
In the interest of time, I would just move it now and just move on to the next item.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
Is
Mike.
there a typical comment period for contract renewals that the Selectmen has? I mean, is it 30 days, 60 day, and 90 day, or is there such a typical thing, or is it just kind of as you go? Or?
I don't know. I don't think there's a standard. I guess contracts are all different.
Right.
The RCN one, what is it, 20 days that we, or 14 days that we did earlier tonight? That one's been advertising in the newspaper. This one, you know, this is the first time it's really being made known to the public.
But you know, unlike a contract to repair a
ambulance.
road, or I mean, this is directly, it is a direct benefit to the residents of the town of Milton, and they probably should have a chance to weigh in on it, you know, if they have anything to say.
I hope I'm proven wrong and we get 500 people writing in requesting, you know, programs and emails and concerns about MPEG.
I'd actually feel better if we don't get very many at all.
I'd feel good if we did.
Then we have a good basis for
I just think it's a waste of
Quickly
time. It's a
renewing
waste of tax. We're going to be using our town council to be drafting
and
some
trust me,
amendments.
this is a very short amendment. It won't take
No,
long
I
at all.
understand that, like, but it's just everything compounds to a lot of time wasted, I think. Just we should be spending more time on projects that are more pressing. This is,
Well,
to me, this is a
think we
no-brainer.
are.
Just
Yes, Mr. Lynch.
As President of MPEG,
Want to come up to the
I don't know
microphone?
how this affects.
Mr. Lynch, do you want to come up and join us at the table just so the microphones will pick you up?
If this affects our insurance, I mean, I think we're kind of blindsided. We have a contract which runs out, and you people want to extend it for, what, a couple of months? So what does this do? We'll have to consult with our attorney to find out, what about, we've got $3 or $4 million worth of liability insurance, we have a vehicle, and
Is that insurance set to expire with this contract, or
well,
or
if,
is it just an annual policy that's in place? I mean,
it-
I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's why
Okay.
we'll have to consult an attorney.
I mean, the extension option is that, it's an option, and none of us have voiced any reason that we wouldn't want to enter into a long-term extension. It sounds like Tom and I are both saying we'd like to have a little bit more public input, just for transparency in government, for an opportunity for the people we represent to tell us what their thoughts are and if they have any concerns. That's really all that this would be.
But that's my point. We're using transparency here, but we're not using it in other areas where people really want it. It's like we're banging our heads against the wall here. Again, I would just say we just move it tonight, let these boys go to work, and let's get on to more pressing issues. This is wasting our time. It's wasting our taxpayer dollars with town council over petty little things like an amendment on a contract. This is not the reason I came on this board, was to be discussing items like this, to be quite truthful. I thought the board would use more common sense. This is a very simple process of just approving this contract tonight and move it on.
Well, I guess, Dennis, I would have to respond to that. We're not here as a rubber stamp. We're here to exercise our best judgment, and all I'm asking for is informed judgment, and that really just means an opportunity for the public to comment.
No, I understand we're not a rubber stamp, but there are certain things that are kind of rubber stamped, you know? I won't even get into what we rubber stamped over the years, but this is something that should almost be rubber stamped.
See, I'm not sure I agree. I mean, cable access is a very important function of the town, and it's not something to be rubber stamped. It's, you know, the type and the quality of programming and how we disseminate information to the public is very important. And I'm sure that Mike agrees with that, and that's why he's here and why he does what he does. And you guys do a great job. You know, we have no qualm.
Exactly. And Bernie, we're not looking for any lapse in the contract. I guess if we were to make a motion, I would suggest that it be a motion to extend the agreement for 60 days until December 16th, which is a Tuesday in December, which is a normal meeting night for us, and let's ask
And
for
look
public
forward
input,
to-
and, you know, and probably authorize the chair to sign an amendment with MPEG to provide for that in the agreement. And then we'll meet on December 16th with you. Doesn't necessarily have to be your entire board coming in. It could just be Mike and Bernie and however you'd like to choose, but we'd come in the meantime, we'd funnel any comments off to you. They might be good suggestions, they might be things that you already know about, but...
Is that your motion?
Well, no, my motion was what I just said, but I'm just explaining the process would be that we would then meet on the 6th. I haven't made the motion, I'm suggesting what the motion would be, but I'm suggesting then we would meet on December 16th and enter into a four-year renewal to, you know, back to minus the 2 months that we've already extended. So there wouldn't be any lapse. We would extend it for 60 days, and then at the end of 60 days, that would be our time to extend it for up to 4 years minus the 60 days. Obviously, it's something you'd want to consult with Bernie, but I would think that it wouldn't have any impact on your insurance.
Well, I
But
don't know what it's
that's-
going to have an effect on.
but that's
Certainly,
something
it's a
that-
reputation. You know, why can't you take these opinions? Anytime you've ever suggested anything to us, we've done it. So,
It's
I would
not
go-
intended to have any reputation risk or anything like that.
I
This is-
would go
this
so
is an
far as to say that it's almost a question on the integrity of the board,
sorry.
of
Oh,
MPEG.
I think that's
No,
a
that's-
gross
yeah,
misstatement.
that's
I
not-
have to
I
strongly
don't know.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
I have to strongly disagree with that. It's a matter of the Board of Selectmen, which is an elected board, which unfortunately, you know, I'm chairman of the board, I'll take the blame. We should have put this on the agenda in August and said, the MPEG contract is coming up for renewal in a couple of months. If anyone has any comments, please notify the board. So, you know, the buck stops with the board. But this is an opportunity for an elected board to hear input from the people who we represent. And I agree with Tom. The provision of cable service is an important, it's not a function of town government, but it's an important service that town government contracts with. It's not at all a reflection on the integrity or the competency or anything else of the MPEG board or the Board of Selectmen's relationship with the MPEG board. It's just a matter of soliciting public input. There may be somebody in town who has a great idea for programming, who has an idea about scheduling, who has commentary that they would never have thought of offering outside of this context.
But how is that going to change the 4-year contract coming up in December?
Because
They can contact Mike right now and tell him about programming
they
and
can, but we're
scheduling.
the licensing authority, so it's an opportunity for residents of the town to contact their elected officials and to bring comments to our attention that we might want to pass on. And Mike and Bernie and the others might think are a great idea. They might disagree and say, no, we're not going to go along with that suggestion.
You know, I say if this is the way we're going to continue, we'll need 4 meetings per month. And, you know, we used to have 2.
board historically met 4 times a month, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock.
Well,
I've
from
heard that
my
from a
first
lot
year,
of
we
prior
had 2.
select-
During Tom's chairmanship, we had 2. Now we have 3 and sometimes 4, and this is the reason why. And I don't like it.
I'd have to disagree with that strongly, Dennis. I think the reason we're having 3 to 4 meetings a month is because there are a lot of projects, we're engaged on a lot of different fronts.
Much more pressing than this, Katie. You know,
More
that's...
pressing than this in some ways, but this is an important issue, and I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We're handling the bigger issues, and we're handling the more pressing issues, but at the same time, we should, if we're going to take public input for the RCN renewal and for the Comcast renewal, why not for the MPEG renewal?
Okay, I would suggest that we move it and just... Or we'll be here till midnight.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve a 60-day contract extension for MPEG access through December 16th, 2014.
And to authorize the chair to sign an amendment?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion for...
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed?
No.
2 to 1. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you to the members of the MPEG board who are here. And I will reiterate, this is simply an opportunity for us to hear from our constituents. It's not a reflection on service. It's not a reflection on programming. It's certainly not a reflection on the board or the executive management. I think MPEG, personally, I think MPEG does a good job, and I'm glad we have the service in town and we have all of the programming that we have. Let's see if there's any comments that we can get from the public that might make it better or might be helpful to you and to us.
And I will echo that sentiment.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Take care.
much.
Good night.
Okay, we have Mary Ann Sullivan, our COA director, who's been waiting, so we will move on to number 10, and then we will come back to number 8 afterwards. Mary Ann, I'm sorry to keep you waiting
Hey,
so
Mary Ann.
long.
It's okay.
Good evening.
Can I just say, I sure hope you rubber stamp this.
Always good to add a little humor.
Luckily, we've had a discussion already to some extent with you at the
We have.
prior meeting about this
And,
topic.
you know, I know I had the opportunity to speak with a couple of you after that meeting. So tomorrow night, I go before the Personnel Board to ask for the creation of a full-time van driver position. Because the Council on Aging budget is under the Board of Selectmen, I'm coming here tonight to request your approval, vote, however you want to word it, to ask that you approve my going to the Personnel Board to ask for the position. It would be a full-time van driver, 37.5 hours a week, a benefited position. The approximate cost would be, just put my glasses on so I read it right, $35,743.
Including benefits?
No, whatever the benefits are, I don't have that
Approximately?
information. I wouldn't have a guess.
But another 38%.
Yeah,
So 35, is it you said?
37.
$35,743 would be the salary.
7 plus another...
Say 40, I'd say
15?
30%, yeah. Would you say 40%?
Yeah.
30 grand, 13 grand? All right.
So we're talking maybe 50,000, is that right?
Yeah, probably about there.
I know when we came before you, there's no question that you're all aware of the need. We currently have part-time van drivers. It's not a very, how can I say it? It's not a very desirable job. Most of the people are retired. They take a position like that because of the flexibility. But what we've seen lately is we have more and more demand for people who need services 5 days a week to chemo or radiation. And these drivers, when they joined our team, they specifically said, you know, we go away for 2 weeks. They're retired. We're not paying them a fortune. There's no benefits associated with it. But what we need now is a full-time van driver who we can count on, who we can plan that, you know, he's going to be here, and if he, you know, has this vacation, we know when it's going to be. It's the only way we're going to make it work. During the month of September, we had to tell 28 residents that we couldn't help them. That's never happened in my 21 years there, and it shouldn't be happening. I have a petition at the senior center that we started after the meeting here, just from residents saying they support it. To date, we have 784 signatures, and I know we can get more if need be. I don't think, I'm almost 100% sure I have the support of this board. I think the Personnel Board, certainly, I'm hopeful they'll approve it. I have a great informational packet for them tomorrow night. My issue is going to be with the Warrant Committee and the funding, as always. So I guess this is the first step in the process. If you can approve it, then we move forward from there.
I guess we will be discussing budget strategies tonight, and I believe what we're going to wind up doing, although I shouldn't speak for the whole board, is recommending that the budget strategy be level service this year, because we can't do level dollar much longer and make the town run properly. But so, in light of that,
Did I hear you, that level service, who's going to be recommending that?
I would recommend that we tell
'Cause I haven't
the
heard any
town side.
discussion on it.
No, we haven't. We will be discussing
It's
it.
on the agenda for later.
I will be recommending that, whether I get the votes, that we ask our departments to put in level service budgets this year.
Tom, can I just make a comment on that? And I know this is, you're running late anyways, but we just, for the Personnel Board, and it will also help with the Warrant Committee, in FY04, the van service, the total cost to run the program was $76,996. The town funds $28,848. We have to fundraise 60% of this essential service for the senior residents of our town. It can't happen anymore. It can't happen. I am so burnt out from fundraising, I can't tell you. And it's a horrible way to run a department. They deserve better than this. They're paying taxes, they're supporting overrides. And, you can say level dollars. It's not a level playing field out there.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make.
There are new positions created all the time, be it in the schools or other departments that you don't see.
But that was
Our
the point I was
budget-
trying to
our
make,
budget is so
is
small.
that I'm not arguing against you, I'm arguing for you. But seriously, I
Level
am.
service.
Level service means that to
What is it going to cost you
cost
to
you to
provide
the
the
same service. You definitely
But-
have an increased population, so there is a need.
I understand what you're saying, level service, and I've been before the Warrant Committee 21 times, and level service to them is the same budget as it was last year. I'm
That's
sitting
level
here.
that's
For that
level
dollar. So Tom's proposing the same level of
So
service.
they'd pick up the 60% slack?
Well, that's
You
what
put it
that's
in.
what I wanted to ask you. So I guess it would be level service in this case, Tom, because currently it's being paid for partly by fundraising. And it would still be level service because you'd still be providing the van service at the same number of hours or more hours?
More hours,
More
we have
hours.
full-time.
Right, but there is a need
But
for more
there
hours
is a need
because
for more
there's
hours.
more people to service.
Exactly. So, and maybe it would help you cut down on some of your fundraising if you had the position. So if Tom is proposing level service for the budget discussion later on, it doesn't sound as though approving this position, Mary Ann, would be
Inconsistent with that,
contradictory.
yeah.
Inconsistent with the level service budget. So you're looking for our support. It sounds like, Dennis hasn't spoken to this yet, but it sounds like at least we'd be agreeable to supporting this position because it would be consistent with level service.
Yes, that's the point I was trying to make, yes. Now, that being said, and maybe it's just playing devil's advocate, but as opposed to, and maybe it doesn't exist out there, but is it possible to contract for van service? And have you looked at that as opposed to hiring a,
I don't understand what you mean contract for it.
in other words, not hire somebody, but, I mean, just the same way that we have bus service in the school, that, it's...
It would
It-
definitely cost you a lot more. We're paying these van drivers, very low hourly rates. If you're talking about, like, there's a company, it's called South Shore Community Action. They will take a senior into Boston. You could contract with them. It's $140 round trip. $140.
For the round.
trip. Ours is a suggested donation of $15.
Okay.
Well, it sounds as though we've demonstrated that there's a need, and you and Michael Balfe, when you were in a meeting or two ago, gave a pretty good presentation to the fact that other towns are spending more on their seniors.
Right, I mean,
and-
I could, give you, I have the, the breakdown of what other towns do. There's not many towns on the South Shore, with the exception of one being Quincy, that doesn't fund a full-time van driver. Quincy funds 10 full-time van drivers, but it's through a pay-as-you-go system. Our vans are through grants, so we cannot charge a fee. I've worked closely with Milton Hospital, with, Fuller Village, to try and see if we can get a little more support rallied around, helping us with this growing need. And, the seniors are living longer. They don't have the luxury of, a son or daughter who in years past could help them. And, I truly feel it's time for the town to step up to the plate. We're asking one full-time van driver. It shouldn't be, that big of a deal.
So you've demonstrated the need for the growing population and for the unmet needs and the people you've had to turn away.
As did the Master Plan Committee.
Yes,
which I think
yes,
is-
that's a good
is
point. The
very,
Master Plan
very
Committee is
telling.
focused on and the housing production plan too even talks about the growing elderly population in future
That's
years.
right.
So we've demonstrated a need, if that is going to be your proposal, Tom, for level service budgets, this is consistent with it. So I would support this position before the Personnel Board.
I would too.
And would anyone like then to, we don't have a draft motion, but a motion to approve?
Approve the creation of a full-time van driver position in the Council on Aging and forward that request to the Personnel Board.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
second? Any discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous on this
So
one.
I go before them tomorrow night. I don't think that would be as difficult, so I just ask for, if any of you would like to come with me to the warrant committee. That's the tough one, and I just think any support you could give me in that particular area would be greatly appreciated, by the seniors of this town, so.
It is becoming a problem. 60,000 people are turning 60 every day for the next 10 years
Oh, yeah.
in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's a big population of seniors coming up.
It is, and we know they vote, and we know they support everything that goes on in this town, so I think now it's the time to
Right.
support them when they need it most.
And
I mean,
Mary-
I think certainly if you do that same presentation that you did for us a couple of weeks ago.
With Michael Bell's
Yeah.
presentation.
Michael
yes.
will come with me, and I think what's great about Michael, he's a dollar and cents man. I wear my heart on my sleeve, I tell the story, so maybe
And you've
come
you've
in-
already
maybe
made-
this is the time, I don't know. It's
And Marion,
now or never.
You've already made the case that you also have you'll have really two different constituencies. You'll have the very elderly who
Right,
need services like the
absolutely.
van services, and then you're going to have this growing younger elderly population, or the baby boomers entering retirement, who want a completely different range of
Right,
services
right.
at the COA. So that's your next challenge after getting this
Not
position.
mine, Katie, trust me.
Well, the departments.
Right.
All right, thank you,
All right,
Mary Ann.
thank you.
Mary Ann?
Okay, so
Do you want to take Joe Prondak? Or do you want to?
that's a good suggestion. The town administrator suggested we move along to number 12. Joe?
Good evening.
Good evening,
Evening.
Joe. Number 12 on our agenda for the people watching at home is the demolition bid for 0 Central Avenue. Joe is our building commissioner. And Joe, good evening.
Good evening. What we're looking to do tonight is make a decision on the bid, whether or not it should be awarded or extended, although I have, as I did 30 days ago, I have signed, because we were out of time, I signed an extension agreement. It doesn't take away the board's ability to just reject the bid tonight if you wanted to. But if we didn't put that in place, we wouldn't have the luxury of continuing to negotiate it.
And you've gotten an extension through when?
For the next 2 weeks, until the next Selectmen's meeting,
Which is October 21st.
which is October 21st. A couple of things have happened. I did talk to the, well, as you know, we talked to town council, and town council was of the opinion that because there was only one single bidder, we could negotiate some of the points of the contract. And that, so I did talk to the bidder, and his amount on the MBTA cost was more in the range of $24,500, not $100,000.
So 24,000 was included in his 360, is it?
347
347 bid.
for the shutdown of the T. He does still have some other costs that he has to carry regardless.
So we were hearing 100,000. Where did that come from?
The 100,000, I believe, came from one particular bidder who put a question into the bid process. And when you put a question into the bid process, it has to be formally answered as an addendum. And he said, and I think I just found that email today, the bidders, not this current bidder that bid on the project, but someone from his name was Austin Cannon, I forget the company he was with, but he had said that he talked to the T and they told him $100,000. This is part of the problem with this building has been that getting a cohesive team from the T to answer questions
Difficult, yeah.
consistently, which I believe we have now. I think maybe through Bill Clark and Anne Marie, maybe even some of you guys, the T has stepped up their interaction with us a little bit. So I think we have some more definite
Joe, does that
answers.
bid could you remind me, does that bid include no man's land?
Yes.
Okay.
So Joe, you've gotten an extension through the next meeting date, the 21st.
Yes.
That's already signed by the bidder and in place?
It is signed by the bidder and
By you.
and myself on behalf of the selectmen.
And it's really something that you are authorized to do on your own, really, as the
According
building
to
inspector.
Brian LeBlanc, who is the attorney from Murphy, S.E. Toomey and Hay, who does contracts. My suggestion is that that bidder is willing to meet with us some more to see if we can't fine-tune some more of the points within the contract to bring the cost down some more. And my suggestion, I discussed it briefly with Anne Marie, is that maybe I'd like to invite a representative of the selectmen to be directly involved in that, if that's possible. I think that might be helpful. And if we can bring it down to a more palatable number.
What's that number?
Well, I'm not sure, but I do, couple of points that the bidder brought up with me, in that he's leery of continuing to extend this, partly because of the price of steel. He's concerned about the price of steel in that market starting to bottom out, and that has an effect on his margin because of...
The price of steel that he will be selling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just lost my train of thought.
Joe, I'm hearing from 2 demolition contractors that took out the packages but didn't submit the bids, that this bid is overbid by about $150,000. But this should be around $160,000, $170,000 to take it down. Both of them said that to me. I think we're grossly over the mark here with this 347. And my question to you is, what would be the next steps if we were to reject this bid and go back out again?
We would have to go back out, and we would have to refine the bid further and make it more clear. We have to assume that the ambiguities with the T were possibly the cause of the lack of...
That's correct.
...submitted bids.
If I could just chat on that for a second. That's the reason why 10 bid packages went out and only 1 came back, because there was a lot of ambiguity. The RFP was vague. A lot of people couldn't really understand it. So I'm wondering if we just rejected it, went back out to bid with a brand new one, and hopefully we come in 120, 130 grand less than what the 347 is. I would love to save 140 grand on a bid.
And I understand that, although my only concern, and I understand what you're saying, that others are telling you that it's overbid, but the risk of putting it back out, there is a risk that it would all come in higher. I suppose that's a...
Of course there is that risk, but when 2 of the 10 potential bidders came back at the same reason for not bidding on it, I think we should...
But then I don't understand why...
If I could just finish.
Go ahead.
Then something must have been wrong with the RFP, you know? And it's ironic that the same guy that bid on Connolly's building is the one that's bidding on our building as well, the town-owned portion.
Well, he does have the right to bid. I actually did, I had another gentleman that so in the meantime, I've been getting bids on the transformers to get them taken out of the building, so I was with, again, the same Austin Cannon, the one that we raised the $100,000 issue. He told me today that his company didn't submit a bid because they didn't want to work with a private, they didn't want to be on a job site where there were two contractors working on the same job. He said that was the
That kind of
that
makes
was the
sense, too.
complication for his company.
It seems to me there could be any number of reasons that people may or may not have bid. And we have a 2-week extension, Joe, that you've negotiated with the bidder. We have a meeting on the 21st. I would recommend that the board, there's really no action we need to take in order to authorize any extension. You've already done that. You're authorized as building commissioner to do that. I would recommend that we accept and thank Joe for his work in getting the bid extended. And
Continue to negotiate.
and to have a meeting agenda item on the 21st.
First.
Okay.
Joe is recommending that one of the members of the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator, and the building commissioner sit down with Oppenheimer to go through the points.
I missed some of that. Anne Marie, say that again.
Your building commissioner was recommending that a member of the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator, and the building commissioner sit down with the demo contractor and
Okay.
go through some of the points and questions in the bid.
Yeah, to see if we could pare it down even further.
I'll put forward if the board want to, I'll be willing to do that if you want to.
I think we should think about it. I mean, as I've been involved in some of the Henry's discussions recently, so why don't we think about that and figure it, we'll have a discussion with the town administrator and think about that. And we have a couple of weeks. That's the good news.
Okay.
All right, Joe, thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've covered 9, 10, and 12. So why don't we return to number 8 on our agenda, which is consultant or counsel for the 40B projects, and I'll ask the town administrator to address this matter.
Yes, Madam Chair. The board is faced with one current 40B project and has the potential to have a couple more before it, before the ZBA for comprehensive permit. This is new territory for the town, these 40B projects, and I would like to recommend that the town hire a consultant to assist our department heads in going before the ZBA to put presentations together and to clarify and articulate our points of concern with these 40B projects.
And this
So
is
I would-
typical, this is typical in other towns that are faced with 40B
40Bs.
projects, that they do tend to have
That's
a
correct.
consultant to the various boards.
It kind of acts as the point person and kind of looks over the presentation to make sure that the town department heads haven't missed any important points, because again, this is new
Right.
territory
And
for the
it
town
gets very
dealing with the-
technical, too.
Yes, exactly, and legalese.
And we have one town planner with no staff at the moment. We have not yet hired an assistant town planner. So I think this, bringing in a consultant or a counsel would be of
A great benefit.
great benefit and serve an important function where we're so limited in resources.
Absolutely. So I would like to recommend that the board enter into a contract with Kathleen O'Donnell, who is an attorney. She's a resident of the town. She's an expert in 40B. She's been well over 30 years in real estate law. She worked in prior years for Ropes and Gray, and she worked at Copeland and Page, and she has a very, very impressive resume.
Yep, she's a member of the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Trust, I believe.
She helped write the legislation for the Affordable Housing Trust. Absolutely.
Do we have a limit on, well, first of all, funding is always, obviously, a question.
It would be out of our consultant line item.
Yeah. Are we going to limit the price of that somehow, or
No, I think we
Well,
pay it out
under
of
thirty-
professional
Pay it out of-
services. It's really, it's the same as hiring legal counsel or hiring another professional to
It's-
represent
Sure.
the town. And obviously, if we expend the line, we go to the reserve fund if it's necessary. So as an unforeseen, or, well, an
yeah.
extraordinary expense.
How much is all this costing? Do you have a,
Well, we won't know until we hire her and she puts in the hours. So, I mean, I don't have a ballpark figure of what the cost to hire a consultant will be.
do we ever, this is the first I've heard of this Kathleen,
Oh,
do we have a resume? Do we have?
I've worked with her before.
Yeah, I got to know her during the Community Preservation Act campaign. As the town administrator said, she's,
I reached out to her because of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah.
I had reached out to her to see if she would come to one of those meetings as a consultant, because I knew that she was had such a strong skill set in affordable housing, and I struck up a relationship with her, talking with her about affordable housing. Met her again last week at a seminar on Thursday,
Yeah.
and we talked a little bit about 40B. I wanted to know if she had any ideas of how other towns handled 40B projects. Did they hire a special counsel or a consultant to help them appear before the ZBA and present, make its presentation on the key points of what they were concerned with the projects? And so that's basically how this evolved.
So let me see if I understand this. There's a 40, we're talking about Randolph Ave, I'm assuming.
no,
talking
that
about-
hasn't been filed yet. We have one currently filed, which is the Henry site, and we
Henry's.
have Randolph Ave due to be filed, we believe, very soon,
Right.
Right.
And Hillside potentially.
and other potential.
And other potential 40Bs.
And we know what we want to bargain with the developers with, right?
Well, I don't know that we want to, no, I don't think we can agree to that. I think what we know is what we've put in our comment letters to the funding agencies, what the issues are and the concerns that we have, whether it's traffic, whether it's
Stormwater.
environmental, stormwater,
Density.
parking, the various issues. So we've submitted letters to the funding agencies, and those issues have to be vetted before the Board of Appeals, which is currently happening with one of the 40Bs.
Yeah.
The town has not yet raised any, is not, the current 40B started with a presentation by the developer and then by the peer review company, and there's a continued hearing on November 6th. So the town has certain issues that we've highlighted in our funding letter, and that we'll need to be exploring further as we go forward.
I'd like to know, just because I'm in the real estate business and I know the way lawyers can be in real estate, I'd like to do some research on this lady if possible before I take any vote on it. I can't vote on somebody that I don't know, that I haven't researched, and we're going to be spending taxpayer dollars on. And I have some recommendations myself. I deal with contractors that do 40B, and they hire counsel that deal